Hello everyone. My topic is pipelines, platforms, and the new rules of strategy by Marshall Van Alstyne and Geoffrey G. Parker and Sangeet Paul Choudary. So I have some logos here. What do you guys think is common among? Um, do you see it?
No, I don't.
So these are like different logos from different businesses at the moment that is very like we are all well aware of. So these businesses all have moved to utilizing platforms and adopted new rules of strategy. So that is what I will be discussing more later. So before that, what are platform businesses? So platform businesses bring together producers and consumers in high value exchanges. Their chief assets are information and interaction, which together are also the source of the value they create and their competitive advantage. So we take Apple as an example. Today, Apple holds the highest market share for mobile phones, right? So how did Apple manage to take a hold of that when way back in 2007, there were still a lot of players in the mobile phone industry. So Apple created the iPhone and its operating system called iOS. So it conceived it as more than a product or a conduit for services, and imagine them as a way to connect participants in two-sided market, the app developers and the app users. So both are generating value for both groups. As the number of participants on each side grew, the value increased. So that phenomenon is called the network effects. It is central in the platform strategy, and I will discuss it more later. Before we deep dive on platform businesses, I'll share a little bit about pipeline businesses. So pipeline businesses is the conventional way of doing business. So what is a pipeline business? It creates value by controlling a linear series of activities, and it adopts the classic value chain model. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar. This is so familiar to me because I graduated from like a business course. So the value chain model, it it just means that it's a linear process where on the on the one end of the process we have raw materials. It gets inputted on the like a production line. It gets transformed. After it gets transformed, the ultimate goal is to have the finished product. So that's the classic value chain model. So say for example for Apple again, the iPhone is the classic pipeline business. However, if we add like the App Store where app developers publish their work and consumers such as us use those apps, it becomes now a platform. So for platform economy, who are the players? So a platform provides the infrastructure and rules for a marketplace that brings together producers and consumers. So we have four players in the platform. Producers are the creators of the platforms offering such as the apps that we use in our cell phones, and then the consumers are like us. We buy those apps or download them and then we use them. And then we also have providers and owner. So the providers interfaces for the platform. So where do we download our apps in our mobile devices? So that's our providers. And then the owners, they are the controller of platform IP and arbiter of who may participate and what ways. So here it says Google owns Android. So if I align it with my example for Apple, Apple owns the iOS. So Apple controls which among its app developers can publish the apps that will be available for us consumers. There. So for a business to transition from or adopt the platform business, we have three key shifts. So the shifts are here listed on the left, and on the right, there's a table that I wanted to differentiate pipeline versus platform. So on the first bullet, the first key shift is from resource control to resource orchestration. So conventionally, for pipeline businesses, Um, Businesses like control their assets, and their assets are the tangible and intangible assets. So what are samples of tangible assets? So say our real estate, buildings, our production line, our equipment, those are our tangible assets. Intangible assets are like patents, trademarks, intellectual properties. So conventionally, pipeline businesses, they define value or success when they have a control over those assets. Now, if you compare it to platform businesses, the asset is the cheap asset or the network of producers and consumers. So the interaction that is produced when, I mean, the value that is produced when producers and consumers interact is unique to that platform, and hence it becomes the asset of that platform. For the second bullet, from internal optimization to external interaction. So as I mentioned earlier, the the pipeline business adopts the value chain model. So the value chain model emphasizes value chain optimization. What does that mean? So in the process graph here for the linear process, in each of these processes where materials undergoes transformation, businesses emphasizes optimization on those lines to reduce cost. So if we reduce cost, there's increase in profit, and that's the value that pipeline businesses um, are more concerned with. If you compare it to platform businesses, interactions between external producers and consumers are um, are their is where they concentrate on. The more interaction there is between producers and consumers, um, the more network effects is is like if is the effect of that. And then the last key shift is from a focus on customer value to a focus on ecosystem value. So as we mentioned, like the pipeline model is a linear model. So the focus is always on customer satisfaction. So um, however, in a platform business, the focus is on ecosystem, which means it should be circular, iterative, and feedback-driven process. So like I think you mentioned earlier, guys, about the fintech industry, right? So initially, if like before they did not listen to what the feedback of users are or the demand is, then we wouldn't have the fintech industry in the Philippines, and we'll get stuck on like money lang, like actual money that we use. But now we have GCash, and then in GCash we can buy insurance and other activities we can do in the financial industry within GCash. So yeah. Um, and then now we move to effects. So so as I mentioned earlier, network effects is essential to platform strategy, and it is the driving force behind every successful platform. So it's not really very defined in the reading materials. So I research on like what really is the definition of network effects. So it refers to any situation in which the value of a product, service, or platform depends on the number of buyers, sellers, or users who leverage it. Typically, the greater the number of buyers, sellers, or users, the greater the network effect, and the greater the value created by the offering. So, in other words, the willingness to pay for a buyer increases as the number of buyers or sellers for the business grows. The underlying principle of network effects imply that the business, website, or platform with the highest market share will be more successful in the long run. This means that its market share is likely to grow more substantially. So given that like the transition from pipeline business to platform business, what is the strategy that can be used in doing so? So there's like I think five strategy. So the first one is forces within the ecosystem. So platform firms must constantly encourage a creative activity, meaning those that activities that add value to the platform business within their ecosystems, while monitoring participants' activity that may prove depleting or extracting value. So Yeah. Um, Simply put, like when you are in a platform business, um, like monitor, like businesses should monitor the interactions that add value to the business and hopefully iterate from them and watch out for those depleting or extracting value activities. And the next strategy is forces exerted by ecosystems. So there are three patterns of competitive threats. So first, they may come from an established platform with superior network effects that uses its relationships with customers to enter the industry. The second one is a competitor may target an overlapping customer base with a distinctive new offering that leverages network effects. And the last one is platforms that collect the same type of data that your firm does suddenly go after your market is still emerging. So essentially, like as a summary for this one, like businesses in platform economies should watch out for these competitive threats. It's not straightforward, but still the same. Um, like they should watch out for this and like I also mentioned earlier, like improve their platform interaction when these competitive threats will they if they identify these competitive threats. The next one is focus. So strategy is to focus in is the focus is interactions. So the number of interactions and the associated network effects are the ultimate source of competitive advantage. So I'm not sure if you guys are familiar, but there are like a lot of documentaries I watch where, especially in social media concentrated platforms, though they always wanna like they always mention engagement interactions because accordingly having high engagement and high interactions will like will push a platform to strive against its competitors. And so it's one of the measures for the strategy. And then the next one is access and governance. So platform consists of rules and architecture, right? So the strategy here is if a business would allow open architecture and open governance to their players. So what is open architecture? Open architecture allows players to access platform resources such as app developers, developer tools, and create new sources of value. The next one is open governance. It allows players to, other than the owner, to shape the rules of trade and reward sharing on the platform. So when I read in the book, it says that there are various strategies on access and governance. There are companies that they allow open architecture but close governance. So it's a mixture of what the right strategy is depending on who are the players in your platform. Yeah. And then the last one. It's so short, but the last strategy is metrics. So for managers, there are new matrices that they would need to consider to formulate their strategy, and their measure are those as follows. So interaction failure, engagement, match quality, and negative network effects. So basically, these all revolve around interactions within the platform. So these are the measures that managers should watch out for um, and ultimately because this will like define if they have a stronghold over their competitive on the plat on their platform. It's so short. That's it, sir.